First, they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. We live in a world that is very politically precarious. We live in a time that is very politically chaotic. This is scary, and you're feeling it, and your body is feeling it. When it comes to TMS healing, we lean into emotions that are very painful to feel. We lean into truths that are very painful to acknowledge. And in a world where everything is politicized, this is here. There's a lot of silence and a lot of silencing around politics, but this is always right here. And that is a lot on your mind-body system. That is a lot. Political realities can be very hard to feel into. So, let me say, as we're starting off today, if you do not want to face political realities today, that is okay. If listening to a discussion about mental health and politics is going to stress you out, if hearing me talk about politics from my perspective is going to stress you out, if it's going to be counterproductive to your healing, if this is going to trigger you in a way that is flooding and overwhelming rather than engage you in a way that you really feel will be productive and lead to growth. If you think that this will make your TMS worse today, you are so welcome to make the empowered choice to turn this off. You do not need to listen to every single episode of this podcast. You do not. You do need to learn to listen to yourself. You do need to learn to take care of yourself and to follow your true self's inner guidance. So if you authentically don't want to hear this and you authentically want to turn this off, please, by all means, allow yourself to skip this one. No need to trigger yourself. We're not trying to make your TMS worse. We're trying, of course, to make it better. Okay. For those of you who authentically do want to engage in this theme, for those who are looking for something, a space, and making time to process your political anxiety, then let's talk. Let's talk today. You and me and all of us together. Okay. I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. What do you think you would have been doing during the Holocaust? Do you think you would have hidden people in your attic, in the secret annex behind the bookcase? Would you have needed to be in hiding? Would you have been somewhere worse than in hiding? Would you have been a Nazi? Would you have blamed all of Germany's problems on the Jews, on the gays? Would you maybe have bought into Hitler's Nazi worldview? Or maybe would you have thought, this doesn't seem right, but also would you have thought, don't speak out. Don't speak out against the Fuhrer. Don't speak out against Germany. Stay out of it. don't talk politics. When an interpersonal trauma unfolds, interpersonal trauma is a trauma of human relational origin, not like an earthquake or a tsunami. When an interpersonal trauma unfolds, sometimes you're a victim, sometimes you're a bystander, sometimes you're a rescuer, and sometimes you're a perpetrator. No one person, no group, no one is always and forever in one role. There are complex, shifting roles in situations of interpersonal trauma. As a gay man, I know the feeling, the pain, the self-repression, the fear, the feeling of being a victim. I know that feeling. As a white man, I also know the feeling of being a perpetrator. The ignorance, the lack of empathy, the lack of perspective taking, then the guilt, the shame, the extreme discomfort, the wish to deny, the wish to minimize, the wish to fix it, the fear of being held accountable, the feelings associated with being a perpetrator. I know those feelings. All of the above are feelings anyone might want to repress, right? When a new interpersonal trauma unfolds, when these traumatic political atrocities unfold, sometimes you're a victim, sometimes you're a bystander, sometimes you're a rescuer, and sometimes you are a perpetrator. So, what do you think you would have been doing during the Holocaust? What do you think you would have been feeling? What would that atrocity have been like for you? When I learned about the Holocaust in elementary school, which we had a Holocaust unit almost every single year. Like, did everyone have that? I'm like, did you have that? Did all schools like have basically yearly Holocaust education? Because honestly, like I honestly remember honestly thinking we did this last year. Like we already know. But now I see, even though we did it every year, we actually didn't do enough. We didn't learn enough. We didn't truly learn. Never again. When I learned about the Holocaust in school, I operated under the false belief, the totally false belief that if we, like my class, my teachers, and all my classmates at St. Mark's Catholic School, I operated under the false belief that if we had only been there, if we had been there and known what we knew about Anne Frank, about the concentration camps, about the showers and the ovens. It's so unreal to even talk about this. It is so unreal. Remember, you can tap out of this episode if you want to. You can tap out. But I really believed as a child, learning about the Holocaust, I believed that if we had been there, I somehow believed that we would have stopped it. I believed we could have stopped it. Turns out, it's not how it works. Sometimes you're so powerless. You are so powerless. And sometimes you're a bystander. Sometimes you're not a rescuer. You're not. Well, what do I think I would have been doing during the Holocaust? As we're living through now, the United States population blaming all of its problems on immigrants, ICE crackdowns, alligator Alcatraz, the aggressive expansion of many new inhumane ICE detention centers to house immigrants, calling them all criminals, calling them all them, and calling us us, normalizing the dehumanization, ICE officers grabbing people off the streets, killing people. You see the news. Immigration and customs enforcement is killing people. Given what we're living through now, you can see what you are doing now, and I can see what I am doing now. And I'm not stopping it because I don't know how. And you're not stopping it either because it's still happening. It is still happening. Okay, long intro. Hello. My name is Sean Hershey. I'm a therapist. I specialize in helping people heal from chronic pain and from chronic symptoms using emotional and psychological modalities. And today, we're taking a week to address something that's very relevant right now. It's pretty relevant all the time. It's very relevant to mental health and to chronic pain healing. We're taking a week to discuss head on political anxiety and chronic pain. Okay. Now, of course, we don't all feel the same way about politics. I mean, yeah, of course. We don't all see eye to eye on politics. Again, of course. But we're going to talk about this today anyway because it impacts us. It impacts us. When I started this podcast, I made the agreement with myself that I wouldn't keep it like on the surface and, like professional in a phony way and like good boy sort of vibes. I made an agreement with myself that I would be as real as felt, acceptable. Because, of course, I definitely am a professional. I've been practicing as a therapist for 12 years now. I value professionalism. I value professional boundaries. And I want to be real and authentic and connect you to the real feelings that the real you has. I want to talk about what really matters, even when it's controversial, and when it's countercultural, to talk about politics. And today we're doing it. Now, I'm not an expert in political analysis, political thought, what have you. What can a therapist offer when it comes to a discussion about political anxiety? Right? Okay. A therapist knows a lot about helping people with interpersonal trauma. And a therapist knows the dynamics of interpersonal trauma. And that is what many of us are dealing with right now. Politically, we are dealing with various aspects of interpersonal trauma. We're forced, politically, on a macro level, we're forced into the roles of interpersonal trauma. It happens on a macro level, but it manifests on a micro level in our daily lives. We're forced into the roles of interpersonal trauma. 1, 2, 3, and 4: victim, bystander, rescuer, and perpetrator. And that is something that therapists know a lot about and something that therapists have a lot of experience with. Okay, let me say this. I know some of you listen to this podcast to determine whether you think I'd be a good fit therapist for you. So I just want to speak to that briefly. In this polarized political climate, if you want to be my client, and that is because you want to heal your chronic pain, we don't have to agree on everything politically. We do not have to agree on everything politically. It's okay. That's not what therapy is about. I work with lots of different clients with a diversity of different kinds of worldviews and varying idiosyncratic political ideologies, and it is okay. Therapy is not about everyone agreeing on the exact same political ideology. A previous therapist of mine has on her website a section that's like for those with religious and conservative values. And then she has a whole paragraph about how much she loves working with people with religious and conservative values. I could have seen that and been like, oh, hell no. Right then and there, right? I could have, because that's triggering to me. Those are not my values. And this therapist of mine who has working with people with religious and conservative values on her website, Liz Wallenstein was the best therapist I've ever had. She understood me and saw me and tuned into me more deeply than I understood and tuned into myself. So you never know. You never know. And therapy is not about seeing eye to eye on every single political issue. Just want to say that to make sure that's clear. But okay, political anxiety. So many people, so many people are feeling deep, deep, deep anxiety. Often, and certainly now, deep anxiety about politics. Hello, I'm talking to that part of you. And I can tell you with 100% certainty, you're not alone. You are not alone in your anxiety about politics right now. You are not alone. Every single one of us lives in this world right now, and we're all dealing with our version and our interpretation of what's happening right now. And I speak from the US American context because that's, the context I know. But I wonder how things are going for people elsewhere in the world because there's an international audience for this podcast. And I know things are very hard in a lot of places. I wonder how everyone who listens to this podcast is doing. Like, how are you out there? How are you? One thing I can say is you're not alone. I want to share to illustrate the connection between political anxiety and chronic pain and chronic symptoms. I want to share a little anecdote. So I had a client, a TMS client, who told me this. Part of her history with chronic symptoms was that her symptoms had been improving slowly. Like she was slowly on an upswing and feeling hopeful about that. And then she had a total symptom crash right after October 7th, 2023. Because of what happened and the whole political fallout. A total symptom crash right after October 7th. This is when the pictures of kids starving, kids with life-altering injuries, kids dying started to come out all day, all night, all over social media from Gaza. And this client was someone who had young kids. And her mind body system, as so many of ours did, her mind body system had a real material reaction to that. Of course, the body feels this stuff. These kinds of things massively impact our bodies, mine and yours. Global events that happen on the other side of the world, they impact you, and they can absolutely impact your body. Here's another example of politics and mental health. How many clients do I have? How many who have serious conflict with their families over politics? How much therapy time is spent discussing people's Trump supporting loved ones? And it's a very important thing to discuss. It's a very important theme to process. We need to give that time. Um, family who does not understand you, does not value you, does not respond to you when you try to bring them into your world, family who does not see. Many of my clients are gay and queer, and yeah, when their families are Trump supporters, that legitimately hurts. Some of my clients aren't gay or queer, but their family supporting Trump still hurts, or it pisses them off. It brings up a lot of feelings. And, it's clients' parents, it's clients' aunts, uncles, cousins, it's clients' partners. Politics are splitting American families apart. And surely various political situations are splitting families and loved ones apart all over the globe. That impacts your body, that impacts your nervous system, and that impacts your TMS and your chronic symptoms. Okay. Now, as we're getting deeper into this, let me say again, as you know, I'm not speaking as a political expert. I'm speaking as a psychotherapist, specializing in chronic pain, helping people heal from chronic pain. So I'm offering my thoughts today because I think it's helpful to get information about trauma about interpersonal trauma, about the dynamics and roles and emotions involved in interpersonal trauma, I think it's helpful for you to get information about that stuff from a therapist. I do think that's helpful. I'm also sharing my thoughts today on this podcast because speaking out about what you believe in is important. I stand by that. Speaking out about what you believe in is important. What do I think I would have been doing during the Holocaust? I think I would have been wearing a pink triangle forced on me by the Nazis. I think I might have been in prison. I might even have been castrated, or I might have had gruesome, painful medical experiments performed on me. Forget TMS, I'd be in really bad physical shape. I'd have really, really bad physical limitations. And I think I would be so beyond enraged that some people would not even speak out against what was happening. I think I would be so beyond enraged that some people were too weak to even speak out. So I believe it is very important to speak out and to speak out about what you believe in. And also, today, I really want to make space to talk about politics as a therapist because I want to make space for you. I want to make space for you to reflect, space for you to think, a space for you to feel. Even more importantly than me speaking about what I'm thinking and feeling, which I will do today, this is a space for you, a space to agree, a space to disagree, a space to feel, a space to feel solidarity, to feel less alone, maybe to feel angry, maybe to feel angry at me, maybe to feel triggered by me, to feel misunderstood, to feel like you can't feel anything more about politics because it's too distressing. Yeah, maybe a space to feel like I am bad, maybe a space to feel like you are bad, maybe. This is a place to let yourself feel all of that and more because for TMS healing, creating a space to feel is obviously a core part of what it takes to recover. It is a core part. So we are all dealing with this world. We're all dealing with our version of living in this world. It's not just you. And isn't that at least comforting? When it seems like you're alone doom scrolling or alone watching the news and the world is falling apart for you. Well, guess what? I'm here too. And so is everyone. We're all going through our version of whatever this unstable global political time is bringing our way. It's not just you. It is not just you. All right. In the spirit of you're not alone, I'm here too. And in the spirit of this is my podcast. So like I'm gonna take a few liberties and we're going into dicey territory because I choose to do so rather than choosing to stay silent. Um I'm gonna share some of the things I'm thinking and some of the ways I'm processing and some of the ways I'm making sense of what's what I'm going through and taking the opportunity to express what I'm feeling. And as always, when I talk, think about you. Make this about you. Always, always make this about you. Let this be an opportunity for you to process what you're feeling and make space for allowing yourself to process what you are experiencing. Okay. When I started this podcast, I feared that I would get feedback like, enough of the stupid stories. No one cares about your boring, irrelevant personal life. I definitely feared that. And I've not gotten that feedback. Quite the opposite, actually. Um, I feared I'd get no listeners. Like, I feared that I would put in all this effort and then each episode would get, like, 5 listeners. I have not had that problem, thankfully. This podcast has been, more popular than that, thankfully. Um, I feared I would get, like, the feedback, like, "You talk in circles, you repeat yourself, get to the damn point already," and honestly, that's my biggest critique of my own podcast. I'm like, "Sean, you just said the same thing, like, 3 times in the same way, that or you just took 5 minutes to make a point that could have been made in 2." And if you look at YouTube, I do have some comments like, "Shut up and get to the damn point." Of course. Someone literally once commented, "Too much caca at the beginning," which I do understand. But I'm also like, "Hey, I'm a long-winded person. When I record a podcast, turns out I'm a long-winded person." So, here we all are, either enjoying or not enjoying that, but it kinda is what it is. But okay. Anyway, I feared I'd get all this various pushback about the podcast that really didn't, like, truly come to pass, but I should have known. How did I overlook this? I should have known. I honestly feel a little stupid and naive for not knowing. I'm like, "I should have known." What is the thing I've gotten the most negative feedback about? I don't care for the talk about politics. Why do you have to bring politics into a discussion about mind body healing? I don't like political talk. Is it necessary to discuss the war in Iran when we're trying to heal from chronic pain? I have to skip over sections because why are you talking about politics? I should have known. I should have known. Now, is that feedback going to shut me up? LOL is my response to that. LOL. Folks, since we're talking about politics, let's talk. Okay. Me, what am I thinking? Here's a bit of what I'm thinking. Okay. Unless someone can credibly prove to me that racism perpetrated by white people onto people of color, unless someone can credibly prove to me that that is no longer a problem in the United States, unless someone can credibly prove to me that it really is time to say goodbye to affirmative action because whites are the victims of affirmative action and whites are the victims of immigration and white people are in a traumatic dynamic where we are the victims in any large scale racialized situation in the United States. That is all wrong. It is all wrong. So I'm going to speak out, however imperfectly, I'm going to speak out against racism. Unless someone can credibly prove to me that war is actually a good way to solve conflict, I am also going to speak out, however imperfectly, against war. I am. Unless someone can credibly prove to me that there's not a genocide against the Palestinian people, I am going to speak out. However imperfectly, I'm going to speak out against the genocide of the Palestinian people. Unless someone can credibly prove to me that trans people and non-binary people in my LGBTQIA plus community, unless someone can credibly prove that us, cis gays and lesbians, should abandon them. Because now we are normal enough to survive and they are not. And oh, right, the straight right wing mainstream loves cis gays now. They accept cis gays now. Cis gays have more in common with the straight right wing mainstream than we have in common with trans and non binary people. Bullshit. That is bullshit. No one will ever be able to prove that to me because that is not true. So I will continue to speak out. Again, however imperfectly, I will continue to speak out for the rights of trans and non-binary and gender fluid and gender expansive people in my community. And when it comes to immigrants in America, if people in the United States think that immigrants are destroying our culture and heritage and homeland, if people think immigrants are criminals, if people think people of color are trying to overpower and dominate the white people, quite the opposite, my friends, quite the opposite. False beliefs like people of color are trying to overpower and dominate the white people, those false beliefs obscure the true direction of harm. Who is really trying to overpower and dominate, right? They reverse the roles of victim and perpetrator in your mind and in theirs. Reversing the roles of victim and perpetrator. So many perpetrators do this. So many perpetrators, they pose as victims, and they may truly, to their core, fully actually believe that they are victims. It's helpful to have a therapist warn you about that. That is a common dynamic in interpersonal trauma. All of this, the trauma we're experiencing, and we experience it very differently depending on our role, victims, bystanders, rescuers, and perpetrators. To be part of a group of people, white people in the United States, to be part of a group where so many of us are so hateful, so afraid, too powerful for our own good, and in denial about the fact that we have power. I hate being part of that. I hate it. And of course, I also benefit from it. There are benefits to that. That is for sure. There are benefits to that. And I hate being associated with it. I'm going to speak out again, however imperfectly. I'm going to speak out against ICE. I'm going to speak out against blaming America's problems on immigrants. I'm going to speak out against the murders of Lorenzo Salgado Araujo and Johann Sebastian Duran Guerrero. And you know there are more. And you know there will be more. I learned about the Holocaust for 12 years in a row. I know that when the Allied forces closed Auschwitz and German civilians entered once it was closed, I've seen the pictures. German women sobbing, clutching handkerchiefs to their faces, children in shock. And what did they all say? We had no idea it was this bad. We had no idea. This is what it feels like to be a perpetrator and to be a bystander in a massive political trauma. So, okay, I'm making space for what I'm thinking, making space for what I'm feeling. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you feeling? The current situation with immigration, it's not about immigration and customs enforcement. It's not about homeland security. The current situation with immigration is about racism. It's about keeping America as white as possible, which a plain word for that is racism. White supremacy. I think it's very important for us to talk about this because white supremacy is at the core of how so much hate operates in the United States of America and how social stratification operates in the United States of America. So I want to take a minute to honor the gravity of this. Here's a simple example of white supremacy, just in case the ethos of what white supremacy really means isn't clear to anyone, because it's an intimidating concept. And it's a concept that a lot of people are, like, rightly so scared to talk about and scared to engage with. That is totally understandable. Um, so an illustrative example of white supremacy, not necessarily the holistic definition, but an illustrative example. White supremacy is the false belief that a white man is a man and a black man is a black man. It's the false belief that we operate at different levels of humanity, and a black man is more akin to an animal, and a white man is more akin to being made in the image of God. I'm gonna say that again because that's so core to the way we socially organize ourselves in this messed up system of white supremacy, and we don't talk about it enough. White supremacy is the false belief that a white man is a man and a black man is a black man. It's the belief that we operate at different levels of humanity, and a black man is more akin to an animal, and a white man is more akin to being made in the image of God. Now, calling an immigrant an alien, which is a term that many people in power in the United States, they throw around this term all the time, regular, routine, just on the news, in the White House, when Republicans talk to the press, when anyone from any border-related agency talks to the press, the alien, the alien, the alien. A white person calling a human being who is a person of color from a different country, but from the same planet, mind, a white person calling that human an alien has that same white supremacist impact, dehumanizing. It's saying we operate at different levels of humanity. If one person is a person and one is an alien, it's saying that we operate at different levels of humanity. And guess what? As it turns out, that's not true. People are people. Humans are humans. And the way we've been taught to organize ourselves into categories is not the way it needs to be. We can be free from that. We can be free from that mindset. We can be free from that form of social organization. It is going to take probably a few generations of work, but we can be free from this. But be aware is what I'm saying, what I'm sort of encouraging for people listening. That's what I'm saying, at least. Be aware, because it's the othering and the dehumanization and the targeting that lays the groundwork for the killing, that lays the groundwork for the genocide. So I'm talking about the genocide of the Holocaust. I'm talking about the genocidal nature of this flare rising up towards immigrants in the United States now. And I'm talking about the genocide in Gaza. And I'm sure you're having feelings about this, because of course you're having feelings about this. The roles we occupy are complicated and they are emotionally laden. When we're involved in an interpersonal trauma, the roles we occupy are complicated and they're emotionally laden. It's not easy to be a victim. Let's be real about this. In many ways, it's not easy to be a perpetrator. It's hard to acknowledge and to see that perpetrator is the role you are playing. Bystander should be easy, right? But most of us are bystanders in some way now. So why is it so hard for us? Why is it so stressful for us? Why is it ruining our mental health? And why do we feel it in our bodies? because it's not easy to be a bystander. It's not easy to be a rescuer. It's not easy to have the pressure on you that someone needs your rescuing. None of this is easy. None of it. All of the roles in interpersonal trauma are complex and emotionally laden. And let me say, since we're talking about victims and perpetrators of genocide, I believe no American can speak about the genocide in Gaza from a position of moral superiority. I do believe it's very important to speak out against the genocide in Gaza. How can we not? I mean, how can we not speak about it? How can we not want it to end? And I believe it's important for Americans not to speak about it from a position of moral superiority, not to speak about it from the place of like, I can't believe how bad the Israeli government is. Benjamin Netanyahu is evil. As an American, I think I must speak about it from a place of knowing, a place of experience, a place of aftermath, a place of us too. We did it too. And it was, and it is, and it always will be wrong. Can you feel the gravity of the attempted genocide of the Native American nations and peoples? Oh, man. Can you feel the gravity of that? Because I don't think I truly feel it. I don't think I can truly fathom the gravity of the attempted genocide of the Native Americans. Can you feel how much the quote unquote United States of America destroyed of their nations in order to make way for ours? This street where I'm recording this right now in Brooklyn, what would this have been? What was it once? So much is lost, forever lost. The stories, the memories, the people, the history, the wisdom, the knowledge, how to live in harmony with the rest of the natural world on this continent of North America, so much gone. Do you know how many treaties the United States of America signed with Native nations, and do you know how many of those treaties we broke? Because I don't know, but I know it's many. Many, 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 many. When a traumatic atrocity unfolds, sometimes you are the perpetrator. Sometimes you are. And here we are. Here we are, learning to feel. Here we are. Now, immigrants are getting picked up off the street, ICE detention, the centers being built to house immigrant detainees, the centers that I have never seen in person, to be fair, but what if these immigration detention centers are not so different from the centers we learned about in elementary school when we learned never again? That's my take. That's what I'm thinking. And that's what I'm feeling. Whew. So how are you feeling? Angry? Is this triggering you? Am I triggering you? Maybe. I mean, this is triggering something, right? And that's okay. Make space for that. Maybe you see things differently than I do. Good. We all see things differently. Okay. That is okay. Make space for what you really think. Make space for what you really feel. Good. Tune into you. Good. And hey, I mean, on a hopeful note, there have been movements towards solidarity and justice for centuries, from the beginning in the United States of America and, of course, all over the world. Um, maybe this will be time for a massive movement. Maybe you listening to this, maybe you are part of the solution. Maybe you are part of what brings all of us forward. Because I bet in some sense you value justice. Most of us do. I bet you value kindness. I bet you value peace. Many of us value peace. And we do value each other. We really do value each other. So, what do you think you would have been doing if you were alive during the Holocaust? This brings us back to the beginning. What would I be doing? Well, if I wasn't in prison with a mangled, disfigured, experimented upon body, at least, surely at the beginning of the Holocaust, that wouldn't be happening yet. So I guess I'd probably be a therapist wearing the pink triangle, probably making sure everyone knew that I was born a Christian. That would be siding with the perpetrators, and I probably would be repressing the emotions related to the fact that I was siding with the perpetrators, and I'd be trying not to get caught up. So I'd probably be seeing my clients. I'd have this small little public platform like I do in this podcast now. I'd try to be speaking out against what was happening. So I'd be fighting against the perpetrator while also siding with them and trying not to be a bystander and definitely trying not to be a victim. And I'd be trying to speak out. Even though people didn't want me to and people didn't want to hear it, I would be trying to speak out just like now. And other than that, I'd probably be just going about my life, focusing on me, thinking about my own problems, feeling guilty that I wasn't doing more, feeling shocked that people are allowing this to happen, feeling shocked that I am allowing this to happen. And I'd be regularly repressing a lot of emotion. And I'd be experiencing a lot of political anxiety. I think that's what I'd be doing. That's what I am doing now. You're not alone in this. Things are hard. They really are bad. It's not just you, and you're not alone in this. A bunch of us are with you right here. Solidarity, solidarity, solidarity. A bunch of us are right here with you. If you're looking for a therapist, you found one. And you can decide. Does my vibe resonate with you? Therapy is an opportunity. Therapy is an opportunity to tune into you, to learn to feel more comfortable being yourself, to feel more comfortable with your emotions, and to feel more comfortable existing in the world in your body. Do you have difficulties in your life? Maybe it's chronic pain, maybe it's something else. Maybe you want to become a person who likes yourself. Do you want a therapist to help you? And would you like me to get to know you and to help you? That is actually an option. You can find me at SeanHershey.com or Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain.com. Both go to the same place, and if you're looking for me, I'd welcome a message from you. SeanHershey.com, Mindbody Medicine for Chronic Pain.com, and you can request a free consultation.